Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Chill and Prosper. I am your host, Denise Duffield-Thomas. Now, even though you heard my name in the introduction, the reason why I wanted to say it again is because something happened to me, which I've mentioned before, but when I was recording my audiobook of my book, Chill and Prosper, I was trying to make sure that I was pronouncing people's names correctly because it was quite stressful, especially for me, with ADHD and things like that. I can actually find those things quite difficult to remember people's names, even in the first place, right? But I was looking at the manuscript and I was like, oh, better check how to pronounce this person's name. So I would go to their social media, I would go to their YouTube channel, I would go to their website, and I couldn't find videos of them saying their own name. And especially if someone's name was a little bit unusual, or if it was, I'm in Australia, if it was, a foreign name of a country that I'm not well versed in, I was like, oh God, I don't know. But then I would notice that sometimes they would be on a podcast with someone and the podcast person wouldn't say their name either. So I think it's really important to introduce yourself. Now, you might see some of my videos online and go, oh, Denise, you haven't done that. But I have enough videos where I've mentioned my own name. So do that. Talk about yourself, say your name, introduce yourself. If you have a surname that people frequently get wrong, on your about page, just say this is how you pronounce it, make it easy for people. But also it's the thing I always say of, your face is your fortune, but your name is your fortune as well. So don't be afraid to do that. And that's why I did that today, just to demonstrate it. Now, what's really cool about what we're talking about today is what are you really selling? Is that this is something that literally just came up in the last half an hour. So I'm in my podcast studio and Josh, my engineer, he was talking about, I've got a couple of extra days this month free. And I'm like, go and follow people up, go follow people up. Sorry, Josh, for talking about this, but it reminds me of the chapter in my book, Chill and Prosper, where I talk about what are you really selling? What are you really selling? Because especially in times like this where people are a little bit more stretched, people are looking at their budgets. Sometimes if you're in a service industry, you might see people starting to say, I'll just try and do it myself. I'll just do it myself. I'll just record my podcast at home. I'll just, do whatever. I don't need it right now. And what I was saying to Josh is, and what I'm telling you is that, when times are a little bit tougher, you have to get really clear on what you're really selling. What are you really selling? So I was saying to Josh, you're not selling podcast editing. Like I could figure that out myself. I would be shit at it, I'm sure. But what you're selling to me is accountability. Because if I was to do my podcast at home, I'm sure I could get an okay-ish sound. And like I don't do a lot of editing. So I'd probably just go, yeah, whatever, top and tail it. But what I'm paying for is that I have to sit in this room, usually between kind of 9 and 5-ish. I usually turn up about 9:30 and finish about 4:30-ish. But I can do 12 podcast episodes in this day. If I was doing that at home, I would maybe get through one without interruption, maybe. But there would be a knock at the door, a delivery person turn up, a phone call that I really should take. My kids come home at 3:15. All of these things, the dogs would want to get walked because they could hear me. All of those things would happen. And so I would maybe get one or two done. So what I am paying for is accountability. And yes, I'm paying for a more superior, like polished podcast than I could do myself. Absolutely. But that's not the biggest benefit for me. The benefit is I have to sit here and I get 12 episodes done. At my very worst, 8 to 10, right? And I was like, oh, cool, I'll book in again next week because then I can batch them and get really far ahead of it. And then I don't have to think about it. So that's what I'm buying here. What they also do in this studio is music. And so what I was saying is like, I'm not a musician, but I know a lot of people who are writers, who are creatives, and there's always an excuse to push off creativity. There's always an excuse to think, not now, oh, maybe another time, oh, no one wants to listen to what I have to say, all of those things. And actually, like, that's helping people's dreams come true, right? So you might be in an industry where the big benefit that you have is helping people's dreams come to fruition, helping people actually finish things that they know that they should do, but they don't. So that's accountability, right? It's holding people's hands, it's expertise, it is the fact that they've paid money and so they have to finish things. And trust me, I am never ever prepared for this podcast. Never. Like I take notes for sure. I have like a note on my phone where I keep like looking at things, like jotting things down as I think of it. I ask people for advice, tips, whatever, but I really never want to. I'm never like 100% prepared and I go, oh, cool. Yeah, I've got, all my episodes ready to go. So that accountability for me is I get it done. And I hear this a lot for people. If you're in, say, video production or course production or anything like that, so many entrepreneurs tell me, oh, I'm launching my course this year. Oh, I really want to work on my course. Do they do it? No, they do not. So I often say to those people, they're like, oh, what's my advice? What's the first thing I should do? And they think the first thing they should do is, sit down and write down what's in their course. And I always say to them, book a videographer. And they go, what? But I'm not ready. I go, I know. And you won't be ready until you create the space for that to come out. Because I am never ready for my video days either. Never. But I have to be ready. I have to get, I book everything else around it and I just procrastinate getting ready for it, right? But I'll book the videographer. So that's in. If I'm filming at, usually I hire a house or an Airbnb, I'll book that. Then I book a makeup artist and a hair person. Then, sometimes I'll book my stylist or an assistant. And I book all of these things around it because I know I'm still going to procrastinate. I know I will, but I'll turn up and I'll look beautiful. The lighting will be great. It will be everything, everyone else will be ready, and I have to perform. So I know I will say something. And I've done it with transcripts, with teleprompters and without. With is so much easier because I can get through so many videos. Like I can get through, 100 videos in a couple of days. But I've also done it where I just had to wing it. And that's how I did my first couple of filmings of Money Bootcamp is I hired a videographer and I sat there and I knew what I wanted to say in each video. I didn't have the, teleprompter to sit and do it, but I had to do it. And then I, helped people with that version and then I improved it and I did it again and again and again. So there's never a perfect time. And if you're on the other side of this as a service provider, part of that is educating your audience of, you know what, there's never a perfect time for you to do this. Book the studio space, book the time with me, book it in, and we'll figure it out. And that could be either a service that you offer to say, I will help you plan it out, or you can have complementary other service providers where you say, and this person can help you. Or you can just say, look, we can just wing it. And that's fine. So in that chapter I talk about in Chill and Prosper, I talk about how sometimes some industries are selling things that we are completely different to what we think. Okay. So movie theaters, they really don't make that much money from the tickets because they have to pay the distributors, they have to pay all these other things. And a movie has to run for quite a while to really make them money. So what are cinemas selling? They're selling you a quiet room for 2 hours that you can eat popcorn in because that's where they make their money. They make such a big markup on snacks and drinks and popcorn that's really their business model. But no one's having a business model where they say, go sit in a dark room for 2 hours and buy popcorn. Because you wouldn't buy that. You'd be like, I'm not going to go sit and eat a giant bucket of popcorn for 2 hours. What? But you'll do that because you're watching a movie, right? So that's what they're really selling. And the other example I use in the book is cars. my uncle used to run a secondhand car yard, and he worked for a dealership. And I bought a car, a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh, what interest rate did you end up paying?" And I was like, "What?" Because I thought the whole thing that I was going in there to do was to negotiate. So I spent so much energy in the negotiation of the sticker price, not realizing that that's not really where they make their money. Because he said, "Oh, on a car like you bought, I probably would have made like $500." And I was like, "Oh my God, that was like hours and hours of negotiating." And he goes, "We make our money on all the extras." But by that stage, I was so like over the adrenaline of negotiating that I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, fine, I'll sign up for that. Yeah, okay, I had to do financing. I can't remember how long ago it was. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll sign up for the tinting or the waxing or whatever." And he's like, "That's where we make our money." So a lot of car yards, they're in the financing business. They're not really in the car business. So I want you to think about your business. What are you in the business of selling? Okay. And we'll talk about that after the break, but it's something to think about, especially now when you have to be a little bit smarter than your competition. You have to really think about the benefits to your customers. Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with some ideas for you. It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're totally ready for the next step. So many times we are waiting for the perfect moment, for all of the green lights, or for someone else to tap us on the shoulder and say, "You're ready." But it has to come from inside you, and you can declare yourself ready now. Put your hand on your heart and try it with me. It's my time and I'm ready for the next step. If you know deep in your heart, even if you're scared, that you're ready to let go of some of your money fears and finally profit from your skills and talents, it's time to get to work. Your next step is to come and join us in Money Bootcamp. You can work with me as your money mindset mentor and join our beautiful community so you can really give yourself permission to make money and change the world. Click below to find out more, but don't wait any longer. Come and join us today. We're ready for you and it's your time and you're ready for the next step. Okay, welcome back. So we are talking about what are you really selling to your audience? And it's not always what you think you're selling. Okay, so there's that old joke about how, a guy charges $1,000 for coming in, twisting a little nut, a little screw. And they're like, "Oh my God, how you were here for 2 minutes?" He's like, "Yes, but you're paying for my years of expertise in knowing which little screw to turn." And that's kind of what I think sometimes we discount is our years and years of experience that shortcuts someone else's learning curve. Okay, so during the pandemic, I had to film some content. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was for a launch, right? And normally I would hire this out. Okay. And I've worked with my podcast producers, Tommy Rock, but I normally work with Dan from Head North Films, right? So he comes and he does all these millions of things that I don't even know what he's doing, right? And Mark's like, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Dan. I'll ask him how to do the setup. We'll be fine." And so, he's setting up the lighting, setting up all the things. And I was like, "Oh God, this is going to be such a nightmare." I had to do my own hair and makeup. Normally I would outsource that. And we're about to do filming. I stand up to do the first take and the teleprompter dies because Mark had forgotten to charge the iPad. Okay. You might laugh. Mark did not laugh. I did not laugh. Right. But that's what I was paying for when I pay an expert to help me do the filming. Not only am I paying for the accountability and all of the other stuff we've talked about before, but I'm paying for the expertise of knowing to charge the iPad. Not only that, our iPad cable wasn't long enough to charge it at the same time as having it as the teleprompter, right? So we didn't have the gear and the equipment. We didn't know what we didn't know. And then we did it, we filmed, it was like almost murdering each other. Cool. So sometimes if you're a service provider, what you're providing is sanity for people. But we looked at the footage and I was like, oh my God, you framed it all wrong. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, I look like I'm a little kid standing on a box because you haven't framed it right. And he's like, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, yeah, because I've never had to explain it before because experts just know how to do that, where I just look like I'm in the frame properly, not like a little kid like going, and it was so painful. So that cost us so much energy and then so much money and sanity. So remember, if you have that expertise, now might be the time to educate your clients about this, right? You can talk about case studies of people who've tried to do it themselves. You can talk about all of the pain. I even say to people too, you can share and give knowledge to people how to DIY things themselves. You know, you can say, hey, here's my checklist. I'm happy to give this away to you for free. Or you can just let me do it and I can handle it for you. And you might think if you give away all your secrets, you're cannibalizing your client base. You're not. You're not, absolutely, because there are always people who do not want to DIY, but they'll watch it. Like I'm so delusional, right? I'll watch things like this is a perfect example of home improvement stuff, right? I watch it on YouTube. I'll be like, oh my God, I could do this. I could do it. And then I run out of steam. Sometimes I'll even like go to the hardware store and buy the things and then I'll run out of steam. And that's what will happen with a lot of your clients. Some of them will do it and they'll be so grateful and thankful and awesome. That could be an extra income stream for you. That can be, you know, affiliate links. It can be sell DIY guides, all of those things. But a lot of people will then realize and appreciate how much work goes into what you do and realize that they don't want to do it themselves. Okay. So you're paying for that expertise. Also, you can highlight how expensive it can be to undo mistakes like that. Okay, so recently I had a very small job to do at one of my rental properties, a new kitchen. And I was like, I'll just like call one of those kitchen companies. Oh, I can just organize it myself, right? So I organized for the lady to come to the house and she measured it. And I was like, going, look at me, I'm so good. And so she measured it, went away, came back to the plans. I approved them. I was like, yeah. And then she goes, oh, the engineers come back. They need to change this bit and this bit. And I was like, and I just run out of steam and it hit all of my ADHD stuff about having decision fatigue. And it took me like a week or so to get back to her. And then there was another problem and then another problem. And I just couldn't kind of face it very well, right? I was like, I don't know. And she was like, do you want to have do it this way or this way? I was like, I don't know, which is the best way to do it. And it ended up being an absolute schmozzle, like really screwed up. And so I had to call my renovator, who I've worked with a million times, Naomi Finlay, and just say, can you fix this? I can't, I tried to do it myself. I'm really sorry. And she was like, don't worry, like this is not something that most people know about, like the order of things and what things can screw up. And so I had to pay her to fix it. It ended up costing probably twice as much as if I had just hired her in the first place to do it. You know, and so this is what happens in so many service industries, right? You might make websites and you get people who go, I've tried to do it myself, I screwed it up, you know, or I tried to, I've done this too. I tried to, upgrade all the apps or, you know, do all the updates and I've broken something. Can you fix it? And it's always more expensive to fix than if they just hired you to do it in the first place. Okay, always. I follow this dressmaker on social media. I can't Mondi's, I think her is her handle is, and she always posts these amazing videos of people who go, I bought this dress on like one of those cheap sites, and this is what it was supposed to look like, and this is what it is, and it's, can you fix it? And sometimes she can, and sometimes she can't. Sometimes she's like, I cannot make miracles out of that because you should have just like it was too good to be true and I can't fix it and it's going to cost money to fix. So sometimes that's that education for your clients of the benefit of hiring you is the shortcuts, is your years of expertise, is the pain, overcoming the pain of them doing it, of potentially making mistakes. and you're getting a better result in the long run. Okay, so a couple of other examples of where sometimes people might be cheaping out, is that a word? And it's about really making it easy for them. Okay, so my friend Samantha Leith, she was doing a photo shoot in New York, and we went over there together. She was helping me out with my VIP day that I did there. And so I was like, oh, babe, I'll follow you around New York and help you with your photo shoot, no problem. And so I had this massive big suitcase, and she was working with Caroline White, the photographer, who's amazing. And I was like, I'll just be here to hand you a necklace, hand you some shoes, whatever. And it saved so much time. And Sam was like, I can't believe I hadn't thought about this before. Like um, all of this stuff, hair and makeup's not cheap, putting photography is not cheap. But yet I was going to lug this suitcase around myself around New York and do it myself. And part of that is because Sam is a performer. She's a cabaret singer. She is an MC. She's used, like I was a performer too, to like the show must go on, and she's probably changed in the back of cars and, having to do her own everything. And there's this like really that self-reliance that we have of I can do the things, or I should be able to do the things. I should be able to figure this out. Instead of realizing that sometimes it's just we're worth hiring people to help us. And I remember the first time I started doing that for my video shoots, just hiring someone to, as an extra pair of eyes, to be like, oh, your necklace is around the side, or hey, I'll go out and get lunch, or here's some water, or your lipstick's a bit off. And just passing me my next outfit. It's so, so worth it to have that. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, sometimes you need to just let people realize that they don't have to do it themselves. So that's really great too. Another thing that I did about a year ago was I hired someone to help me organize and declutter my house. Okay, because I'm actually quite good at the decluttering part. I can sometimes be a bit too ruthless, but what I was paying for was actually not the decluttering. I was paying for someone to take it away after we decluttered, to actually do something about it. And also I do run out of steam a little bit halfway through as well. I get everything out and then I just go, and then Mark goes, can you put all this away? And I go, and then I ended up just, it all just somehow ends back up in the house. Also with the kids stuff too, I realized that they're good at decluttering, and then they put it all out for us to donate, and then they shop from each other's donate pile. And they go, oh, you don't want this anymore? I'll take it. And then everything ends up back in everyone's rooms, just in different rooms. So, if you're someone who's a declutterer and things like that, really emphasize that of going, I will take it away for you. I will take it to the charity shop for you. I will take it to the rag place for you, because that's often such a pain point, is the completion. Okay. So if you are in a service business where you are a completer finisher, that's amazing. And if you can add on even more to that, to say, hey, and I can upload this for you. I've got a friend at the moment, her husband's making an ebook, a coloring ebook, and he has like been fine with the creative side of it. He's really struggling with the upload, right? And so you might think sometimes, oh, everyone knows how to do that thing. It's so easy. No, and I haven't followed up with him for a while, but I know he was struggling with it, and it probably still isn't up because of that pain point. So now I've got just a couple more tips though, really one tip. We'll do it, the final tip after the break, of what you should do if you're like, oh yes, okay, cool. People do need me, right? What do you do? Okay, and it's the quickest, easiest tip. So I will just take a quick drink and I'll see you after this final break for this last tip.
So I have done the money boot camp, and I love there's so many things I could share, but one of the things I loved is the incremental upgrades, and the idea that you're like, you start slow with the upgrades and it feels like it's going really slowly, and then all of a sudden it'll just be massive. And I just went, oh, okay, well, all right, let me do it. So the first thing I did was I got sunglasses, which I had a really beautiful pair of sunglasses like 8 years ago. And then one day I sat on them and I was like, that's it. Like, you're never getting any good sunglasses again. You don't deserve it because you just sat on this, and that's it. You're too irresponsible for it. So then I always had these crappy sunglasses, but I love sunglasses. So I got these sunglasses and I got 2 pairs. And actually the less expensive pair was an Anchor that I started having, cause they're like rose gold and they just like make me feel like hot and like I got my shit together. And, I've got this selfie of myself where every time I'm feeling a bit like wobbly, I'll look at that and be like, yeah, okay. So, I upgraded that and like just did the course. And then literally within probably six to 12 months at the very most, I think it was less than that, we bought the apartment next door. We have done an entire renovation of the whole place within a year. And it was like, it started so small and then it just went like these massive opportunities came up that would never have been there before. So that's been incredible. And really just also like, as a female, it never occurred to me that it's not a common thing to be like not only a breadwinner, but like running a company. And I was just like, oh, this is just what you do. And then just realizing there are so many things that you face that are not only you, like whether it be the tax thing or whether it be, oh, I can't make more money than like the male figures in my family. And like, just doing all that work to like see what's in the way, the negative consequences. Yeah, has made a really big difference with that. So yeah.
Okay, final tip. So be really clear on what you're selling. Tell people what you're selling. Emphasize all of those benefits for them that you might not think about. But here's the thing, the fortune is in the follow-up. Okay, fortune's in the follow-up. Now, I did a podcast episode on this recently. I can't remember what number it is, but I talked about sales tips, okay, non-sleazy kind of sales tips. And one of the things is literally just follow-up. If you're looking at your calendar at the moment and you don't have a lot of clients booked in, send an email to, people you've worked with in the past, people who have expressed interest in working with you, and just to say, hey, here's some dates and here's the link, because you don't know why they didn't book in the first place. They might have been confused about the process. They might have just been like, oh, now I have to, like, sometimes people email me and go, when do you want to meet? And I go, that's so open-ended. Just give me a link, just give me a link to pay, just give me a link to book in and I'll do it. Make it easy for me. But you never know who's sitting there going, oh, I really should do that thing. Oh, I really need to do that thing. And they're just waiting for someone to say, hey, let's do it. Here's the link, book it in. And you don't even need to discount, you don't even need to go, oh, I've got a special going, but that does sometimes work as well. You might say, hey, you might be a photographer and go, oh, I've got some mini sessions, book them in. Here's the date. If you want to, but sometimes it's enough. If you just go and send 20 to 50 follow-ups, I bet you will have enough clients to, fill up your docket, fill up your calendar without even resorting to any sales tricks at all. Literally just asking people and giving them the opportunity to work with you is often enough, because you don't know who's sitting there procrastinating and they just need to make it easy. Okay, so easy, easy, easy. The fortune's in the follow-up. Go do it and tag me as well on social media. Tag me and let me know that you've done it, or send me a DM. I love hearing that people have actually taken my advice and done it. As a Virgo who loves being of service, that is my favorite thing. So I'm at Denise DT everywhere. Make sure you're following me as well. I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook. I am on Twitter, but I find that Twitter is more of, silly and activism and stuff like that. It's not so much, I don't really use it for business as much, but I would love to hear from you. So make sure you follow me on all the places at Denise DT. And thanks for listening. And I will see you on next week's episode of Chill and Prosper. Go get that cash. Go and get your fortune with that follow-up. All right. Bye.
Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.